Welcome to Global, 4EB's digital station.
È una cosa veramente interessante perché in effetti sono davanti, ovviamente nello studio 6 di Via Teulada, davanti al nostro primo ospite ufficiale. Per motivi di organizzazione, di programma e tutto quanto, l'intervista verrà però condotta in inglese. Quindi and we have here with us Giovanni Porta. Giovanni, thank you and welcome for being here. Thank you.
Grazie, Alex.
There you go. Here I am using English. I said go in Italian.
I said to Alex,
thank you so much.
If we do this in Italian, I'll be doing it difficultly perché parlare italiano mi fa un po' di fatica, così mi sento più
a tuo agio.
A tuo agio.
Okay, we are here to talk about your debut album, The Giovanni Theories. But before we get into this, I'd like everyone, since I already know the story, but I'd like to know how Giovanni the musician came about.
In 1971, I was 15 years old, and I had saved up enough money. I grew up in North Queensland on a farm, and I'd saved up enough money for either a motorbike. Well, I thought it was going to be a motorbike, but someone invited me to a band rehearsal in a farmer's shed, and it was just school kids playing, and it just caught me. There was sparkly guitars and shiny drums and the whole vibe that went with it. And by the way, there were girls. So I didn't spend the money on the motorcycle. I bought a set of drums. I remember it well because...
So it was kind of a summer of 69, but without the guitar, but only with the drums instead.
Yeah, and I remember it well because my nonna had died that month, and out of respect in a traditional Italian family, my father said it would be brutta figura to go and buy a set of drums and make a lot of noise. So I had to wait a couple of months until I bought those drums, and I came across the receipt just the other day in a photo album.
Do you still have the drums?
No.
Oh, that would have been like, can you imagine now, like playing, because we're going to talk about the launch of your CD, having the very, very, very first set of drums. That would have been absolutely phenomenal. But I'm sure that you've managed to find other drums to keep you entertained and amused, and especially the neighbours as well.
Yeah, since then. Well, that's probably what got me. Drums was always my first instrument, but somewhere in the last few years, you can't practice the drums at night in a suburban home, so I started to learn some guitar chords, and my family very politely said to me, will you learn one song properly, please? Because when you learn guitar at home, you learn, I call it party guitar, a chorus here, a verse there. You never learn one song front to back. So I started to learn songs and songs and songs, and a pattern emerged, and they were all Paul Kelly songs, the great Australian artist Paul Kelly. And I thought, well, I'm a big fan, so from there I put together a show I do, which is the Songs and Stories of Paul Kelly, a 2-hour tribute show, which I do with a 5-piece band, and we track the history, the musical history of Paul Kelly. And from that, from learning his songs, I thought, well, I've got stories, I've got songs, and in my album, in the thanks, I say, thanks to Paul Kelly, who showed what one can do with a handful of cowboy chords and a head full of stories. So I thought, from basic raw materials, Paul Kelly's got stories, but so have I, and here they are on my first ever album, The Giovanni Theories.
The theme throughout the album, Giovanni, is, from what I gather by listening to the songs, which I had and I also all love, it's very positive throughout. Like there is a strong message that you want to send and convey out there.
Correct, Alex. It's not. I didn't start with the idea I want to send a strong message, but my character, my personality is such that through tough times, through dark times, I always come out and see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's the theme that emerged, that came out of the Giovanni Theories, and I'm happy that's what came out. There are often difficult topics and dark topics, but the light is always at the end of the tunnel.
You start the album, there are 12 songs in the CD, with Happy With My Lot. You wrote the song, music and lyrics. What's this song about? Because this is the first song that we're going to actually play. So.
The song was inspired by watching my wife's difficulty in the cancer ward at the Prince Charles Hospital in Brisbane. The happy story is that she was diagnosed with cancer, but she's better. She shouldn't be here, but she is, through whatever miracle. And just her tribulations and watching the positive spirit of people in a cancer ward in a hospital, the positive spirit of those people, not just the people getting treatment, but the people, taking a cup of tea around, and the people in the cafe downstairs, the positive attitude that they were going to get through, or even if they didn't, this was their lot in life. And so I thought, I get around and I see a lot of people who grumble at the world and they're not happy with this and that, and I think, well, have a look at these people, have a look at the spirit of positivity. As one old fellow said there one day, he said, anyway, I've had my game at cricket. And that was a great Aussie way to sum up his idea that he's had his life and whatever happens, happens.
Beautiful. Alex, with us again, Studio 6 Global, www.40b.org.au, in the company of Giovanni and his Giovanni Theories.
Happy with my lot. Happy what I've got. Play the cards I'm given. Play the hand I've got. Happy with my lot. Happy what I've got. Play the cards I'm given. Play the hand I got. Right hand going, true Italian style. Left hand on the mobile, he's sending out the news. Pushed by in a wheelchair, needing color and a shade. Took it for a greeting, shot back a smile and a wave. Happy with my life. Happy what I got. Play the cards I'm given. Play the hand I got. The smoke cold trial is early. It's only 1:30. Cheery young bloke, offering a copper and a bun. Happy wheels rolling, pants too long, shirt too big. Dispensing joy Lamingtons, happy with his gig. Happy with my life. Happy what I got. Play the cards I'm given. Play the hand I got. He's copping chemo quietly, so loaded down the line. To the on-call nurse he says, I'm doing just fine. Wanna do my own lawn, trust no bugger to do it. Anyway, I'm retired. I've had my game of cricket. Happy with my life. Happy what I've got. Play the cards I'm given. Play the hand I've got. Happy with my life. Happy what I've got. Play the cards I'm given. Play the hand I've got. Happy with my lot. Happy what I got. Play the cards I'm given. Play the hand I've got. Happy with my lot. Happy what I've got. Play the cards I'm given. Play the hand I've got.
And there you have it, folks. The very first, the opening album, the opening song of the Giovanni Theories by, ovviamente, Giovanni Porta. Giovanni, wonderful song, really, and probably the best one out of the entire lot, with which
Thank you.
should have opened this group of ballads and thoughts, and like you call them, theories. Would you like to tell us about the other songs, like the style? Obviously today we will not be able to listen to all the 12 songs, unfortunately, contained in your album, but from what I gather, there are various styles in there. They're not just ballads throughout, are they?
Correct, Alex. And once again, it wasn't through any planning by me, but these songs, they started on my lounge chair downstairs with me and my guitar, and I took them as rough ideas into the studio, and then songs develop a life of their own. So there's a quieter, I'd maybe call that country rock, that one, but there's another song on the album, you won't hear it today, but it's called Johnny, Jack and Jim, and it's a straight four on the floor drinking pub rock song.
We should probably put it in the background as you keep talking, so that someone will have an idea of what this song is about.
So there's things like Johnny, Jack and Jim, but there's also a reggae song, which you'll hear, Bucket List, coming up. There's very raw, basic acoustic songs with nothing else but an acoustic guitar, called Second Last Day. There is a wide range of styles and also of instrumentation. So it's your basic drums, guitar, vocals and keyboards. But in keyboards, my keyboard player who played on this, I love him dearly. He knows which song requires organ sounds, what requires piano sounds, and he also plays mandolin and accordion, which gives it a lot of different textures also.
Johnny, Jack and Jim, we still have it under the background, but now we're going to talk about Keep Some Back. That is a very, very strong message that you want to send out. There is no way that you can convince me that you did not want to send a very strong message out of this song.
Well, I'm not going to try and convince you that I didn't, because I did, and I felt very strongly about this one. Probably one of the most personal songs to me. And you might say, well, the first song's positive, and it's sort of inspired by the cancer ward at the hospital, and the second song's about suicide. I mean, is this man into dark topics or what? He's probably darker than Leonard Cohen, but the topics are dark, but the spirit is always positive. And the spirit of Keep Some Back is based on suicide. Let's call it what it is. And I've seen a lot of it, and I feel strongly about the way it affects our society. And just over a year ago, a relative of mine through marriage took his own life. A married man of 50 years old, a policeman in a small town, seemingly happy with children. You would think everything going for him. The life of the party. Probably reflected me a little bit. And when I went to his funeral, the whole country town turned out. And I'm talking, the town shut down. The Minister for Police was there. And the message at the funeral was, he was the great constructor, the great helper of community, always lending a hand at the football club, at getting a grant to redo the local sports oval, just everywhere, helping everybody. And I thought, well, he helped everybody, but he couldn't help himself, or we couldn't help him. And that's what really gets to me about the suicide thing, that it's such an option these days. And I don't know, I don't have any answers, but, especially young people, they'll be famous for 5 minutes on Facebook, but then they leave behind, as this person did, everyone asking questions of what could we have done, what did we do wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. It was a decision they took. But so Keep Some Back is about keep some back, keep some for yourself, because we need it. If we don't have enough in our tank, we're not good for anybody else. So It's a little bit selfish, but you've got to do that.
This is
You've
a
got to keep
beautiful
some
country,
back down life's
but
lonely
it's a hard
track.
country. And sometimes the only way out in tough times is through. No sideways, no backwards. Just talk it through. Because tomorrow just might be a better day. And there's people out there who will need you around tomorrow. Copper in a one-horse town. 20 years sun up, 20 years sun down. Footy camping, Kenny Rogers' young family. Come Christmas morning, there's a body up a tree. Keep some back, keep some for yourself. Keep some back, down life's lonely track. Sarge is the one they get on the phone. Sarge is the one who goes out alone. Sarge is the one with any kind of plan. Sarge cleans up when the shit hits the fan. Keep some back, keep some for yourself. Keep some back, down life's lonely track. Saturday night, he locked up the rebels. Just a local footy team having some revels. Sunday morning, his community roots. They couldn't feel the team, so he pulled on the boots too. Keep some back, keep some for yourself. Keep some back, down life's lonely track. Said, God done us more than we can bear. That's all right in Mount Gravatt, but he was a long way from there. Keep blocking, punching, just wait for the bell. But we never knew the walls of his hell. Keep some back, keep some for yourself. Keep some back, down life's lonely track. Keep some back, keep some for yourself. Keep some back, down life's lonely track. Down life's lonely track. Down life's lonely.
And of course, whilst you guys were listening to the song, we were actually talking about the power of no. Sometimes we think that saying no would offend people, would let people down because we're not there to help. But sometimes a very good, heartfelt no, for the very good reasons, is actually a help rather than something bad.
Absolutely. Okay. Great timing on that, Alex. I was saying to Alex, I've just come back from another weekend away of doing things that really weren't for me. They were probably not want tos, but have tos. And when you get a little bit burnt out, yesterday I just came back. I got back from Sydney after flights being cancelled and all the rest of it happens when you're flying. And I stuck on the top of my screen, my computer screen at my office desk, a post-it that just says no.
It does help. It does help sometimes. It also reminds you more often than not that you are human, that you're not a superhero as much as everyone would love to be a superhero. Which brings us to the next song, a bucket list. One of my favorite topics, but you take it onto a different level altogether, don't you?
Yeah, Alex. This is one of the... Well, there's another, I think, funny song on this album called God Gave Me a Mower, but that's a long story for another day. You won't hear it today. But Bucket List is inspired, I guess, by the old song, "There's a hole in the bucket, dear Henry, there's a hole in the bucket," and "Dear Liza." Alex, you probably weren't in Australia when that song was around. Do you know it?
I wasn't probably even made when that song was written. So
Yeah,
no, I'd say no.
It's a gimmick song, and everyone who's been in Australia for the last 40 or so years would know it. There's a hole in the bucket, but it's inspired by, and I must admit, I don't want to be a hypocrite here, but I like to travel, but there seems to be this, what I call hyper-tourism, where, you know, I know in Brisbane, instead of talking about real estate prices, now we're all talking about the cruises we went on, the places. Everyone's just travelling so much, and a lot of it includes the bucket list. And, you know, you've got to do the Northern Lights, and you've got to climb the Himalayas, and you've got to go to Machu Picchu, etc., etc. Well, I sometimes I go to airports and I think, how can we all travel so much, but then we want a green planet? It just doesn't work together. But, you know, this is not a green song. It's a song about priorities, I guess. And as I say, well, there's a hole in my bucket, dear friends, dear people. There's a hole in my bucket, and that's what I like. And I purposely take the mickey, I suppose, without tongue-in-cheek. In the first verse, I thought the Northern Lights was a low-strength beer, and the Himalaya base camp just chills me with fear.
You know what this song reminds me of? Like, I've been to Bali too. It's one on the Red Gums. I've been to Bali too.
Well, that's in a reggae style. Maybe that's why this fell into a reggae style.
Maybe it does. How about we just give it a go?
Okay.
The Northern Lights was a low-strength beer. The Himalaya base camp just chills me with fear. The Arctic's cold and Chelsea's just flowers. Nearly got wrapped into the Eiffel Tower. There's a hole in my bucket, dear friends, dear people. There's a hole in my bucket, that's what I like. There's a hole in my bucket, dear friends, dear people. There's a hole in my bucket, that's what I like. When they bore me with tales of their travelling glee, tell me all the sights that I've got to see, what I must do before I kick my bucket. I'm gonna tell them take their bucket and hole in my bucket, dear friends, dear people. There's a hole in my bucket, and that's what I like. There's a hole in my bucket, dear friends, dear people. There's a hole in my bucket, and that's what I like. The squeal of my grandkids, we roll on their floor. The good doctor saying my wife's sick no more. Good friends at home eating my signature dish. Down the creek with the kids catching no fish. Sitting on the couch strumming to her door. Memories of those who are with me no more. There's a hole in my bucket, dear friends, dear people. There's a hole in my bucket, that's what I like. There's a hole in my bucket, dear friends, dear people. There's a hole in my bucket, that's what I like. Buckets are full, there's an emptiness inside. Fitting everything, there's nowhere to hide. I'll be smiling when my empty bucket, I kick it. They can take their full bucket and hole in my bucket, dear friends, dear people. There's a hole in my bucket, and that's what I like. There's a hole in my bucket, dear friends, dear people. There's a hole in my bucket, that's what I like. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Henry, dear Henry. There's a hole in my bucket, that's what I like. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. There's a hole in my bucket, that's what I like. There's a hole in my bucket. Dear friends, dear people, there's a hole in my bucket. That's what I like. There's a hole in my bucket. Dear friends, dear people, there's a hole in my bucket. That's what I like. That's what I like. That's what I like. That's what I like. There's a hole in my bucket. Dear friends, dear people, there's a hole in my bucket.
Non è che ci siamo dimenticati la lingua italiana, amici, siamo ancora però in compagnia di Giovanni Porta, che ci ha presentato e ci sta presentando ancora 3 canzoni al termine di questa bellissima e veramente spettacolare intervista con lui. Siamo ancora ovviamente in compagnia di Alex dalle frequenze della 4EB, www.4eb.org.au.
You're listening to Global, 4EB's digital station.
And here we are again, Giovanni. Song number 6. This is something that actually touches me because I know the characters that you have included and for whom the song has been sung and written. So, Annibale.
Okay.
Annibale crossed the great divide.
Alex, can I just say something in Italian? I'll say it in English. In Italian. A bit of both. When I was going to name this album, I wanted to call it Giovanni Theories. The first title for the album was Sharp 8. And you might think, what's Sharp 8? Now, my family comes from the region of Molfetta in southern Italy, and in their dialect, if something is Sharp 8, it means it's tasteless and wishy-washy. And if a person is
Sharpate.
Yeah, no Sharp 8, it's someone's just wishy-washy and they're not up to much good. And I always wondered about the origin of the word because I like it, you know. And I asked one of my colleagues in my office who's from Benevento, and he said, Sharp 8 or Sharpito, is that right? It's tasteless. Yeah.
When it lacks of salt, when it lacks of flavour.
Yeah, so if a person's no Sharp 8, and I often get called that by my family in fun, but I said to my wife, I said, I want to call it Giovanni Theories, and she said, it's not all about you, you know. And I said, well, this one is. So it ended up, and I don't know what the Giovanni Theories are. There are many, but maybe at the launch, which we're going to launch this album.
Speaking of which, the launch is scheduled for the 19th of October?
Saturday the 19th of October at the Heritage Hall in Lutwich.
Obviously, everyone's invited.
Absolutely.
To attend. That would be an absolute... It would not just be a concert as such, not just you there playing. It would be more an engaging event for everyone involved.
Yes, Alex, we're going to present it as a little bit of theatre. I wouldn't be so disrespectful as to people to come along and just, here's the 12 songs, wham, bam, thank you, goodbye. We've got an MC, we've got props. The MC is going to call people out of the audience and talk about the songs, the origins, not all of them, because I think that would be too long and too boring. And one of the people, so we're going to present it as a bit of theatre on the Saturday the 19th of October at the Heritage Hall at Lutwich, behind the church on Chalk Street.
Anyone interested to come, just please give us a call at the radio and we will provide you with additional information.
Yes. And one of the people who will be called up will be the subject of the next song, and that will be a good friend of mine, Lorenzo Boccabella, from the Brisbane community, because the story is based around his father, Annibale. And many of you will probably know Annibale as one of the original founders of the Anfe at Tenerife. And the story is this, that one day in a coffee shop in Clayfield, when my father was still alive, we were having a sandwich, he and I and my mum, and he stopped and he said to my mother, that's Annibale Boccabella there. And my mother said, Paolo, what are you talking about? You know, he said, I haven't seen him for 56 years. I wanted to know what happened to him. And Dad got up, and as he did, he claimed this fellow, and yes, it was Boccabella. And that was the end of the morning because they were just talking.
56 years, Giovanni. Something happened, obviously, 56 years prior to that encounter.
Yes, well, this was 1997, or about 96, so it was 1945, 45, yes. And what had happened was, as the song says, June 1940, Mussolini joined the war. Italians down under, enemy aliens for sure. So Italian males between 18 and 45 who were unnaturalised, and my father had been here for years but hadn't got around to getting his passport, they were automatically declared what was called enemy aliens. They were rounded up, as my father tells the story. When the local policeman came to tell him to go, he was embarrassed because, it wasn't his orders, it was just a government order. And they rounded up all the Italian males between 18 and 45. They collected them all at Stanthorpe. That was the collection point. And then a little bit at a time, they shipped them off in work gangs to do civil works.
Locations unknown.
Locations unknown. So my father spent 2 years till the end of the war on a work gang. It wasn't a prison camp, but they weren't allowed to go, and they were under guard, building roads out west, the Queensland border, out even as far as the Northern Territory. Before they got sent out one day, Boccabella just went missing. Annibale just went missing, and my father never saw him again. And that mystery stayed with him all those years. What happened to Boccabella? Did he die? Was he a spy? And so the secret was revealed. Do you want me to tell them the secret, or will they hear it in the song?
We'll have to hear the secret in the song.
Okay.
They first crossed the ocean, then their great divide. Now they meet for coffee on the other side. June 1940, Mussolini joined the war. Italians down under, enemy aliens for sure. Sergeant Nally said, "Sorry, Paul, you've just gotta go on the train to somewhere," and he didn't even know. First crossed the ocean, then the great divide. Now they meet for coffee on the other side. Rounded up in Stanthorpe on the western line, shipped off in work gangs, a few at a time. Annibale couldn't take all that not knowing about why he was there and where he was not going. His amigo went first, he asked for a letter. "Tell me where you are and if it's any better." A letter came back, but censored to bits. All this silence for Annibale scared him out of his wits. When his turn came, he snuck off his train. For 56 years, all he didn't see him again. And what of Annibale? Was he alive? Was he dead? Some high-tie spy with a price on his head. They first crossed the ocean, then the great divide. Now they meet for coffee on the other side. Chance meeting in a coffee shop, suburban Clayfield. Paulie sprung Annibale and all was revealed. Farm labouring, shed living, money was a rip-off. He left town in a hurry, jealous neighbour gave a tip-off. It Italian on the run with nowhere to hide. A Nibbler without elephants crossed the Great Divide. New Farm sheltered him and covered his tracks. Hard workshops and family, he never looked back. They first crossed the ocean, then the Great Divide. Now they meet for coffee on the other side. Polly and a Nibbler have crossed the Great Divide, having coffee and pasta on the other side. Over coffee, two others meet, sharp suits, marble foyers, the pride of their lives, both city lawyers. First crossed the ocean, then their Great Divide. Now they meet for coffee on the other side. First crossed the ocean, then their Great Divide. Now they meet for coffee on the other side, on the other side, on the other side.
Indeed. Indeed, one of the most beautiful songs contained in this album, Giovanni. I don't know what people... You were telling me that the bass player
Yes.
loved this song, and there is no bass in this song.
Well, Alex, one of the things, this is my first album, and I don't care if I never sell any. I'll give them all away, but the pleasure I get is from people's reactions to the songs, good or bad, or their interpretations of the songs. And they come back. Here's a theory I've developed since I've done the album, but songs are a little bit like your children, and you bring them into the world and you have an idea for them of what you would like them to do and where you would like them to go, but they take on a life of their own.
That's an interesting analogy. That really is.
And songs take a life of their own, and people come to me with, oh, this song's about X, Y, and Z, and I say, oh, really? Oh, that's good. I didn't know that.
Speaking of songs and speaking of lives on their own, what I would like to remind everyone is that on the 19th of October, not only you will be seeing Giovanni live with the support band and everything, it's basically an entire package, and in the cost, because there would be a cost to access the venue, there will be basically a free CD or CD included at the door. Yes. with the purchase of the ticket. Yes. So it's, to me, sounds like a pretty good deal. So if anyone wants to know something more about it, the number here for this particular moment until 1 o'clock would be 3240-8612, or please just get in contact with the radio downstairs and they will be able to provide you with as much information as possible about this, what seems to be, and what I'm sure it will turn out, an absolutely amazing night of music and friends and laughter and everything, really.
Yes, and family. I've particularly got an MC who is very entertaining. He's not just going to call people up out of the audience and say, what's your name? How do you know Giovanni? What do you know about this song? He's... if I can say, he's a judge, and he's smart and he's funny, and he does theatre himself, so he's going to make a lot of fun. Speaking
of judge, like one of the professions of the law, just to mention a profession that's out there, it's all about getting the facts straight, right?
Yes.
It's something that has been part of your life and part of your professional life all along, wanting to get the thing right, wanting to know what really happened, wanting to know
the truth.
Wanting to know the truth, exactly. And the next song is something that really, really sums it up, doesn't it? Would you like to talk about this?
Yes, Alex. The next song's called When I Get to Heaven. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not so presumptuous that I think I'm a good person and I'm going to get to heaven. Probably a lot of people and my clients would think the opposite, and sometimes my wife and children. But when I get to heaven is my angle on the truth. And to me, if I get to heaven, if there is such a place, I don't want angels playing harps, but I say, to me, it would be like a series of lecture theatres where you could walk in the door and the truth will be revealed. And the song progresses, as you can see, it asks all the questions. It says it's not a question of whether or not, it's just a matter of when. I'm going to call on some big names in heaven, and I'm going to cross-examine them again. And you see the figures in history, and facts in history and so on. And I've written the song so that it runs from originally Adam and Eve right through Roman history, right through to Vesuvius and Naples, to modern history and JFK. But in the end, I also included quite a personal reference in the last verse. Did Mark in the first tower cry out for his love?
Would you like to hold that thought, play the song, and then get back to it? Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's not a question of whether or not. It's just a matter of when. I'm gonna call on some big names in heaven, and I'm gonna cross-examine them again. Adam, did you eat that apple? Cain, did you kill your bro? Was Magdalene a hooker? Judas, did you count your silver? Did Peter hear a rooster crow? Caesar, did your wife's dream almost keep you from the Senate that day? Did Naples fear tremors? A week before, Vesuvius blew away Pompeii. Richard, did you murder the princes in the tower? And who shot JFK? Did Adolf marry Eva and make her his wife? Did Ned Kelly say, such is life? Burke and Wills, why leave the dig tree? What happened to the Beaumont Three? Did Mark in the first tower cry out for his love? I'll be chasing these answers up above.
Ancora insieme nel salotto digitale per questa giornata veramente speciale insieme a Giovanni Porta, che ci sta praticamente piano piano guidando per mano attraverso le sue 12 canzoni del suo album di debutto, The Giovanni Theories. Giovanni, that was a beautiful, beautiful song, very private investigation, very Mark Knopfler, especially in the last bit of the guitar, but and probably because of that, absolutely fantastic. So well done. Now we'll go to the last. You wanted to add something about this song, though. The last line about Mark.
Yeah, the song is very generic. It's Adam, did you eat the apple and things like that. But in the last line, I wanted to, and I'll dedicate this song to Mark Murolo, M-U-R-O-L-O, who was a relative of mine in New York. And on 9/11, on the day before 9/11, as I was saying to Alec before, we all think that people live in New York, they live in Manhattan, they live like the movies. But people who live in New York, They live ordinary lives. They eat, they have breakfast, they get their cars serviced, they take their kids to school. And on the morning before 9/11, the night before, Mark was 30-something. He lived with his parents, and he had to get his car serviced. And he rang his dad and said, "Oh, Dad, tomorrow morning I'm going to be late for work. My mechanic's got to service my car. Can you pick me up?" "Yeah, okay, all right." That was all okay until the night before. And he rang late the night before, and he said, "Oh, Dad, hang on, the mechanic rang me. We've had to cancel that service. Don't worry about it. We'll do it another day. I'm going to work at the normal time tomorrow." Well, normal time tomorrow, he went to work in the first tower at 8:30, and the first plane hit at 8:43, and that's fate. And the song asks, did Mark in the first tower cry out for his love? I'll be chasing these answers up above. So it's a really personal thing about, you wonder about, I guess, what happened to people at the end. What's their take on things like that?
We're now basically reached the maximum time allowed for this wonderful interview, also because you also have other appointments.
Impegni.
Altri impegni. We're going to talk about and listen to it afterwards on the last song for today, Don't Look Too Hard. What's it about?
This song is about lost opportunities, about when we have the chance to reach out and help someone, positive opportunities right there in front of us, and we hum and we ha and we fusticate and maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should, and then the opportunity's gone. And the song says, don't look too hard, he ain't in the book. So if you're looking for inspiration, spiritual, whatever, be it Jesus or whoever it is, he ain't in the book. It's not where, it's just how you look. It's in the people around us. And it came from New Year's Eve some years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. The little old lady lived across the road. She rang us up at 9:30 to wish us New Year's Eve. She'd never done that before. And I wished her New Year's Eve, and I put the phone down, and an hour later I said to my wife, that was reaching out. We could have got her over for a cup of tea. We didn't. It was too late. She was dead a month later. Lost opportunities, and I say, grab them. Don't think twice.
Speaking of don't losing opportunities, please, if you do feel like coming and joining us on the 19th of October, again, Giovanni, could you please give us more details about this what seems to becoming a very, very interesting evening, considering the level of music and the level of people who will be there, when and where and how?
Okay, the Giovanni Theories, the album, the official launch, even though it's out there, the official launch will be at the Heritage Hall, which is behind Holy Cross Church on Lutwyche, Chalk Street, Lutwyche, at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, the 19th of October. There is an admission fee, which will include the CD. The show will be presented by a full band. An MC will talk about some of the songs. There's a cash bar and there's some nibbles thrown in. So it's going to be a great evening of supporters, fans, friends and family. My 86-year-old mother's coming down from Cairns because she always said I was a show-off.
Absolutely fantastic. Giovanni, thank you again for your time with us today. Last song for the day from the Giovanni Theory, Don't Look Too Hard. Thank you again and see you on the 19th.
Grazie, buongiorno a tutti.
Called up late one night on the telephone. Neighbor rang to wish us New Year's Eve, to wish us all a happy one, first and last in years, I believe. Yeah, I answered that call so politely, it sounded like a lonely old lady to me. Yep, I answered that call very politely, sounded like a lonely old lady on New Year's Eve. Don't look too hard, he ain't in the book. It's not where, it's how you look. Don't look too hard, he ain't in the book. It's not where, it's how you look. Leaning on a concrete pillar, forehead on forearm, looking pale, breathless in the hospital car park. Too many stairs are just bad mail. Yep, I drove on out of that car park. He looked like a breathless fat man to me. Yeah, I paid my money, I got my ticket, I drove out of the car park. Just looked like a breathless fat man to me. But don't look too hard, he ain't in the book. It's not where, it's how you look. Don't look too hard, he ain't in the book. It's not where, it's how you look. Wandering on my fresh cut lawn, going nowhere special in dirty feet. Out of the local park shelter, killing one day on the street. I kept on mowing, I had to finish the lawn. Just looked like a homeless drifter to me. Yep, it was Saturday, I had to finish the lawn, I had jobs to do. Smelled like a homeless drifter to me. Don't look too hard, he ain't in the book. It's not where, it's how you look. Don't look too hard, he ain't in the book. It's not where, it's how you look. It's how you look. It's how.
Bonjour et bienvenue sur Global,
Radio Digital,
the new digital channel qui s'appelle Global.
Digitalnom rádiu.
Radio Global.
Still your favorite radio station 4EB in digital format.
Digital Radio Global.
GLOBAL. Global.
Hello?
You are listening to 4EB's digital station, Global.
Welcome.
Listen online to 4EB FM and Global on digital radio through our website.
4EB.org.au.